In my previous video, I talked about what was going to happen to the Sheikah tech in Breath of the Wild 2, and in the video I mentioned that the towers had failed to rise during the calamity, so that got me thinking. The Sheikah towers seem to have a much more convoluted history than it would seem at first. This video is going to cover that history. So, at the beginning of the video, I'm going to discuss everything we know about the towers, and after that, I'm going to try to put together a complete history of them. Feel free to subscribe if you aren't already, because it really helps out the channel, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so let's start off by looking at the places we learn about the history of the Sheikah towers. Looking at Impa's cutscene with the tapestry, we can see that the towers were originally constructed alongside the Guardians and Divine Beasts in order to stop Calamity Ganon. One very interesting thing to note is that despite seeing all the other Sheikah tech in the tapestry, the 5 columns surrounding Hyrule Castle aren't shown at all. Looking at just the gameplay of the Sheikah towers, it seems that they are also supposed to provide a map of the environment for the Sheikah Slate. According to Creating a Champion, however, it looks like their original purpose was to detect Calamity Ganon's arrival. However, this is actually the purpose of the columns surrounding Hyrule Castle. Remember though, they aren't actually on Impa's tapestry, which is important. Now, when Link activates the Great Plateau Tower, it activates the rest of the towers. This means that the towers are all connected in some way. Creating a Champion theorizes that the towers sent a signal to Hyrule Castle, which then sent out a signal to the rest of the towers and shrines. Now the interesting thing here is that the shrines were activated when Link activated the first tower, which means the Sheikah were expecting the shrines to only be used when a tower was activated. Likely they did this so that only the hero could access the shrines, and not just any random researcher. Zelda. Anyways, as I stated in the intro to this video, the towers failed to activate during the Calamity 100 years ago, meaning they didn't fulfill their intended purpose, unless of course, that purpose has changed. Remember, we know that the towers were from around 10,000 years ago, since they are on the tapestry. If we look at the table on Creating a Champion, the first column is labeled as Intended Function, not as 10,000 years ago. This means that not everything was necessarily made 10,000 years ago. So, with all this laid out on the table, let's go through the history of the Sheikah towers, drawing on the evidence we have in order to piece together what has happened from 10,000 years ago to the present. 10,000 years ago, while building their defenses against Calamity Ganon, the Sheikah realized that it would be a good idea to have some sort of automatic alert system, so the moment the Calamity arrived, they would know exactly where it was and be able to fight it. Thus, they decided to build a tower in each region of the map. The Calamity arrived, and due to their careful planning, along with the help of the princess and warrior, they were able to subdue the Calamity once again. However, after seeing the ease with which the Sheikah were able to overcome such a powerful foe, the royal family feared for what may happen should the Sheikah turn their weapons against them and commanded them to get rid of the technology. The Sheikah, despite being hurt by their words having been protectors of the royal family for centuries or even millennia, made sure to protect the family even as they got rid of their tech by creating large storage containers surrounding the castle. These containers were made to rise from under the ground upon detecting the Calamity, so that at least the royal family would be protected by the Guardians, even if they couldn't plant them everywhere. Since they left this job up to the columns, however, the towers were now useless, so the Sheikah decided to make them into the activation method should a future hero ever need their help. They also made sure they were a map, so that the hero could keep track of all the locations he has visited, as well as mark all the shrines he had visited in order to increase his strength. Of course, over the next 10,000 years, more than just the Divine Beasts and Guardians were gone. All of the Sheikah tech had been buried, except for the shrines, left as ancient relics of a bygone era. However, as we all know, in the excavation of the Divine Beasts, the Hyruleans found the Sheikah Slate, which 100 years in the future, was used to activate the first tower and begin the story of Breath of the Wild. And so, that is the complete history of the Sheikah towers. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. So, what did you think? Was there something I missed, or do you have another theory on the towers? Let me know in the comments below. I do have Twitter and Instagram accounts that will be linked below, so be sure to follow me on those as well. Sorry I haven't been posting videos this summer, but life happens, you know. Also, I know this video is pretty short, and most of my upcoming ones probably will be as well, but in return, I'll make sure they're especially well edited. Well, that's all I have for you guys today, so until next time, I've been Truth Force, and I'm out.